Carl Jung found 7 mental spaces that destroy most people's strength. These aren't real places you can touch. They're mental traps you walk into every single day without knowing it. Most people live in these spaces for years. They feel drained, worried, or lost. They blame themselves. But Jung knew better. Some environments actually rewire your brain to work against you. In 1961, Jung treated a man who looked perfectly fine on the outside, but inside, he was slowly falling apart. Jung traced the problem to 7 specific mental spaces that this man lived in every day. Once Jung helped him see these traps and escape them, everything changed. Today, I'll show you exactly which places are breaking your mind. You'll learn how to spot when you're trapped in them, and I'll share Jung's escape plan that can save your sanity. The first trap, the echo chamber. The most dangerous place Jung found is the echo chamber. This is where everyone around you thinks exactly like you do. Every voice mirrors your thoughts back to you until they feel like absolute truth. Jung's patient spent hours in social clubs where everyone shared his exact fears and anger. He thought he was staying informed, but Jung realized he was getting poisoned mentally. Here's what happens to your brain in an echo chamber. Your thinking muscles get weak. When you're never challenged, your mind shrinks like an unused muscle. Jung called this collective possession, when group thinking takes over your individual thought. The patient stopped questioning anything because questioning felt like betrayal. His worldview became stiff and scared of different ideas. Warning signs you're trapped. You can predict what everyone around you will say about any topic. Different opinions feel threatening instead of interesting. You've stopped asking, "What if I'm wrong?" Your conversations just confirm what you already think. Jung discovered that people in echo chambers don't just stop growing. They start shrinking. Their minds become smaller and more afraid. The second trap, the comparison arena. Because echo chambers make you mentally weak, you become easy prey for the second dangerous place, the comparison arena. This is where your worth gets measured against everyone else's success. Jung's patient started comparing his life to others obsessively. Every success story felt like his personal failure. Every achievement felt meaningless because someone else did better. Here's the trap. Comparison doesn't motivate you to improve. It trains your brain to find what's wrong with you everywhere. Jung called this the inflation-deflation cycle. You either feel superior or inferior, never just yourself. The patient told Jung, "I got promoted at work, but all I could think about was how my college friend became CEO faster." Warning signs you're trapped. Other people's success makes you feel like a failure. You achieve goals but feel empty because someone did it better. You change your life to match what looks successful instead of what feels right. The third trap, the performance theater. The third dangerous place is the performance theater. This is where being real gets punished, and you only get rewarded for wearing the right mask. Jung's patient worked somewhere where showing any weakness was career death. He learned to laugh at unfunny jokes, agree with ideas he hated, and hide any part of himself that didn't fit. Jung called this persona identification, when the mask you wear becomes the only identity you know. The patient told Jung, "I don't know who I am anymore. I've been performing so long that the real me feels like a stranger." This place is deadly because it trains you to abandon yourself bit by bit. Each compromise feels small, but they add up to complete self-betrayal. Warning signs. You feel drained after social interactions, not energized. You catch yourself agreeing with things you don't believe. You're scared to share unpopular opinions. You feel like you're wearing a costume you can't take off. The fourth trap, the silent suffering space. The fourth dangerous place is where emotional needs get buried under fake stability. Jung saw this constantly. Patients from perfect families where love was assumed but never shown, where problems got ignored instead of solved. The patient Jung treated came from exactly this kind of family. We never fought, he told Jung, but we never really talked either. I learned that having needs was selfish and showing pain was weak. This creates what Jung called emotional starvation. Your emotional needs don't go away when ignored. They rot in the unconscious, creating worry, sadness, and emptiness you can't explain. Warning signs. You feel lonely even when surrounded by people. You've learned to cope with pain instead of healing from it. Asking for emotional support feels selfish. You have strong feelings but nowhere safe to express them. The fifth trap. The chaos storm. The fifth dangerous place is the opposite of silence. It's the chaos storm where constant mental noise drowns out your inner voice until you can't hear yourself think. Jung's patient lived here constantly. Newspapers demanding attention, radio programs feed worry, social events drain energy, work demands follow him home. He filled every quiet moment because silence felt unbearable. But Jung realized this wasn't a preference. It was avoidance. The patient was scared of what he might find in stillness. Here's the trap. Chaos becomes addictive. Your brain gets used to high stimulation and starts craving more just to feel normal. Warning signs. Silence makes you immediately grab a book or turn on the radio. You have strong opinions about everything, but a deep understanding of nothing. You feel busy but can't remember what you accomplished. The sixth trap. The self-abandonment chamber. The sixth dangerous place is where you systematically ignore your own needs and truth. This is the sneakiest trap because it happens slowly. You say yes when everything inside screams no. You stay in relationships that drain you because leaving feels harder. You choose comfort over authenticity. Jung's patient described it perfectly. I became so good at ignoring my gut feelings that I stopped having them. I made every decision based on what others expected. Jung called this soul loss, a real psychological state where you become a stranger to your own core self. Warning signs. You can't remember the last time you checked in with your feelings. Your decisions are based on what's expected instead of what feels right. When someone asks what you want, you genuinely don't know. The seventh trap. The shadow basement. The seventh and most dangerous place exists entirely in your own mind. It's the shadow basement where you've locked away parts of yourself you're too scared or ashamed to face. Jung's patient had spent years avoiding this internal space. Every time painful memories or difficult emotions came up, he pushed them down into what Jung called the personal unconscious. But Jung discovered something terrifying. What you bury doesn't stay buried. It grows stronger in the darkness and influences your behavior in ways you don't understand. Jung called this shadow possession, when the parts of yourself you've rejected start controlling your life from the unconscious. But here's what Jung also discovered. The shadow contains tremendous power and creativity. The patient's anger, once he faced it consciously, became passionate advocacy. His sadness became deep empathy. Jung's escape protocol. Now that you can recognize these 7 dangerous places, how do you escape them? Jung developed what he called the individuation process, a systematic approach to psychological freedom. Step 1. Conscious recognition. You can't leave a place you don't know you're in. Step 2. Environmental audit. Examine every space you regularly enter, physical and digital. Ask yourself, does this environment help me grow or keep me small? Step 3. Strategic withdrawal. Limit exposure to toxic psychological environments. Start small, limiting time in negative social circles, setting boundaries, and creating daily periods of quiet reflection. Step 4. Conscious integration. Don't just avoid negative environments, consciously create positive ones. Seek out people who challenge you kindly, environments that support growth. Step 5. Shadow work. Jung believed that until you face what you've hidden in the shadow basement, you'll unconsciously recreate toxic patterns everywhere. This requires therapy, journaling, or other methods of bringing unconscious content into awareness. Step 6. Regular maintenance. Jung discovered that psychological freedom requires ongoing attention. These dangerous places are tempting because they offer false comfort and familiar patterns. The transformation. Jung documented remarkable changes when people escaped these psychological traps. His patient's story became a blueprint for thousands seeking mental freedom. Within 3 months of leaving the echo chamber, the patient's critical thinking improved dramatically. After escaping the comparison arena, he discovered interests that were genuinely his own. Leaving the performance theater meant disappointing people who preferred his mask. But Jung taught him that relationships based on false performance aren't real relationships. Jung observed that people who escape these places don't just feel better. They become completely different people. Their relationships improve. Their decision-making gets clearer. They develop what Jung called psychological sovereignty. The final truth. Jung's ultimate insight. These places persist because we collectively agree to live in them. But when enough individuals choose psychological freedom, the whole environment transforms. Remember Jung's original discovery. These 7 psychological environments destroy most people's mental strength. But now you know something most people don't. You can choose differently. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. These places will always exist, and they'll always be tempting. But true mental strength comes from choosing growth over comfort, authenticity over approval, and consciousness over convenience. The question isn't whether you'll encounter these dangerous places. You will. The question is, will you recognize them when you do? Will you have the courage to leave? And will you create the kind of psychological environment where others can be free too? Your mind is not your enemy, but the places you allow it to live might be. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe, not just for more content, but to join a growing space where truth, healing, and self-discovery matter. This is Psyche Thera, and your journey is just beginning.